So once you open your iClicker Cloud, you'll see that you can move it all over the screen quite easily. And there are 3 buttons. There is a polling button. This allows you to ask different types of questions. There is a quiz button. This is for building pre-constructed quizzes. It's not as effective in the online setting, to be really honest, and it's not a tool we use a lot. Although I'm sure some people can find some great uses for it, it's just not going to be a point of emphasis for us. And then there's also the attendance button here, and this will show you who's in the class, how many people are there, how many are not. Right now you'll see there's 1 person in this class. This is a demo class, and I'm the actual other student in this right now, just for demonstration purposes. If you want to see a list of those names, you can click here on the person and it'll give you a roster of the people currently in the class. Whenever you're working with this iClicker Cloud and you need it to go small again, you just click on this back arrow right here and you'll see it comes back to the small size. The cool thing about the iClicker Cloud is it just takes a screenshot of what's ever on your screen when you open the question and constructs the question for the student based on that screenshot. So I have a PowerPoint here that's a little quiz on watermelons, and I'm going to put that in presenter view, and we can start our watermelon quiz. This quiz will show us all of the things that we can do with iClicker. And the nice thing about it is, you see again, I can grab that cloud and drag this wherever I want on my screen so it's out of the way and doesn't interrupt my presentation. So to start, we can look at multiple choice questions, and these are probably the most common questions that we see faculty using. And I have this question here. What percentage of the watermelon is water? Okay, so I'm going to ask a question, and in order to do that, I go to polling, and I want multiple choice in this field here, and I hit play. And you'll see now it's got a timer running and there's 0 responses currently. If you look down below where the iClicker Cloud is, I've cut in what the student view looks like, so you can see what the student is seeing on their side. Once the student has answered the question, you'll see that you have a result coming in. So we have 1 response. We'll stop the poll because we know there's only 1 student. To look at the result, we click on this little bar graph here, and you'll see that the student answered D. When we compare that with our answers here, we see that D is in fact the correct answer. I think it's 93%. So I'm going to click on that D to tell the student that they got that right. And I'll show you again in the little bottom left-hand corner of your screen, you can see what the student view looks like when it shows them that they got the correct answer. It's important when you use iClicker that you go ahead and select the right answer so that the student knows what they got right and wrong. Because this is a cloud-based application, that is stored to the student's account and they go back and review that later. And we know from some interviews that we've done with students and some focus groups that they do use these in their studying. It also allows you to record that answer to have to look back later. And you'll notice that once it takes that screenshot, that's all we have to do. I didn't have to program this question into iClicker. I just had to build the PowerPoint slide, and then iClicker takes a screenshot, constructs the question out of that screenshot. So it's very easy for you to be flexible with iClicker and create your questions very quickly and make them fit whatever you need. I'm going to close the bar graph. I'm going to shrink down my iClicker, and I'm going to move on to my next question type, which is a target question. Target questions are really cool because they take a picture of your screen and allow students to place little dots as to where they think that is. So there's a lot of use cases for this. Obviously, in medical education, when we have any kind of imaging, it's very helpful. Anatomy questions. But you can also be more creative with these. You can think of, almost like old Highlights magazine, like what's in this picture that's wrong? Or you'll see here I have this picture. In which state is watermelon the official state vegetable? I have a map of the 50 states here. I'm going to again open the question. In order to do that, I go to polling, and this time I'm going to go to target. So I'll hit play. And again, it starts the poll. You'll see the timer running. And I'm going to show you what the student view looks like. There's your student view. And now the student gets to place a dot. So the student can place a dot. You'll see the updated student view with the dot now placed. This is a pretty sharp student. They know that Oklahoma is the state where watermelon is the official state vegetable. You'll see that our response is in. I will stop the timer. So when I want to grade my target question, I click on the bar graph, double click in here, and now I have the option of drawing where the result is. You'll notice that I get a rectangle, and unfortunately, that's all I get. So the correct answer is Oklahoma. This does mean that the student who maybe put North Texas or even a little bit of Kansas might end up getting the right answer. There's not a lot we can do with that. It will only give you a rectangular shape. So whatever your area is for the correct answer, you get it to the closest rectangle that you can, and you just have to call that good. I'm going to go ahead and save this answer, and I'll let you see what the student sees. If you look in your bottom left-hand corner of your screen, that's their answer, and it says your answer is correct. And then we move on. Again, we close the results by clicking on the bar graph. We collapse this. So that was your target question. Finally, let's look at the short answer question. The short answer question is a text response question, and the student gets 140 characters. So you can't write, huge essays in this, but you can get a good sentence answer. It's also really useful for soliciting questions. Are there still things you don't understand? In medical education, maybe what is something you would ask the client or the patient? What are the 3 diagnostic tests you feel you need to consider? Those sorts of things. This case, our question is a little simpler. Write a short description of when you like to eat watermelon. I click polling. I go to short answer, and then I hit the play button. And you'll see our poll has started. If you look in the bottom left hand of your screen, you'll see what the student sees. And then the student will answer. Okay, and the student has submitted their answer. And we see we have our one response. We'll stop. And now we'll look at our answers. And here you see in July at a picnic. Actually, anytime in July. Wonderful answer. So, there's a few ways that you can grade this. You can go through and click each one that's right. And that's usually the easiest way. And if you're doing this for points, that's what you have to do. You have to confirm that all those answers are correct. Just so you know, iClicker is not particularly AI driven or doesn't have any kind of complex system that's going to help sort out similar answers. It's not like Google where you can misspell every other word and it'll go, oh yeah, you mean this. So similar answers will appear as different. If you have the exact same answer, they will show up exactly the same. So, if you ask a question that has a very, specific set of possible answers and students put in similar things or the same thing, it does recognize same answers and it does adjust for case and spacing. So, there are some answers where you'll see multiple answers of the same thing. But usually if you ask a short answer question, you are going to get a pretty long list of responses. So you want to keep that in mind if it's something you feel like you need to grade. The nice thing about iClicker is it does allow you to go in and just go into the other box here and type the exemplar. So you can do something like, anytime. And you'll see when I enter this answer, all of a sudden that was counted as a correct answer. And if I put the star by it, that will now be the ultimate correct answer. And I can decide if I want to say in July at a picnic, actually anytime in July. I can decide if that's a right answer or not. I'm going to say it's not. I'm going to say it's anytime because I'm a mean teacher. And what's interesting is what the student sees. So the student will first see this image that says your answer is incorrect. And then when they go to the results page, check out what answer it says is correct. Anytime. So it's just the way that it displays it. Whatever one you put the star by, that's the exemplar answer. A cool feature of the short answer that can be really helpful for more informal things in class, getting a read of where they are, where they feel there are weaknesses, is the word cloud display. This especially works well in large classes where you have a lot of students responding and a lot of words to comb through. If you click on these letters here, you will get a little word cloud. And you'll notice July is much bigger in my answer. Okay, because it is in there twice, everything else is in there more. Again, word clouds work better at scale. The more people you have responding, the better the data you get. The word cloud is generated from individual words. So if students are writing longer responses, in my case I did it on purpose of writing July twice, so you can see that that would be a little bit bigger. You can kind of shuffle this around and get updates on it. So it's kind of a fun way to get some more feedback from your students. Keep in mind, you'll see here it says question 3. You can go back and look at previous questions using these arrows, question 2, question 1. So you build out a quiz for the class as the class progresses. Again, the students see all of this and they can access these files later and see what was being taught and what they discussed and what the correct answers were. I'm going to close this by clicking on the bar graph. I'm going to collapse using the arrow. Now I'm done with my quiz and I'm going to do something very important, which is I'm going to close the class. You need to close the class so it all kind of becomes final and goes into the computer and is saved so that students can go back and access it. And so that if you're using a shared account or if you want to open iClicker again, you'll open a new class when it's that time. So to close the class, I click on the X here. You do have the option of asking an exit poll. It's not the most robust tool, and it doesn't get the students' attention real well. So I actually recommend using other ways, whether it be a class discussion board or some informal polling at the end of class. The exit poll by default is just how well did you understand today's topics and what do you need more help with. It could be helpful, but hopefully you're getting richer data than that from other tools you use in your teaching and other types of formative assessment. So we're really not going to do a lot with that. We're going to go ahead and hit end class, and you'll see that we come back to our home menu, and I'm going to go ahead and close that window, and I'm going to go ahead and say thank you. If you need to contact me and you have some questions about iClicker, my email address is right there. So shoot me a line, and yeah, good luck. Enjoy using iClicker.